Alright, welcome back everybody. Episode 2 of my Skyrim modding mini-series covering the development of the Academy of Advanced Conjuration. The last episode we looked at some apprentice level summonses, and this time we're going to look at some adept levels. But I thought before we did, we'd do a little recap of the apprentice level conjurables. Now, I did mention the last episode that there would be some little tweaks and adjustments along the way, and there have been some. I've had to do a little more testing, a little more fine-tuning. There have been a few little changes here and there. So we're going to talk about those first, and then we're going to get on to some adepts. So a quick recap. We have right here our undead bowman. He's the trash talker who likes to mock, ridicule, and laugh at his adversaries. And next we're going to take a look at, not there, we'll take a look at Ola Vultinator. You know, there's some bandits up here. Let's go see what the Vultinator can do with these guys. He is a spell sword. He uses shock magic. And he has a mace with a shock enchantment on it. So he may have his hands full if he has to go up against the bandit marauder. I'm not sure which one that is. Well, he took out one of them. You can see he's got a lightning cloak. So there's always two that are really tough, and he has lightning bolt, as you can see. This guy's a marauder. He's going to be a bit of a problem. Oh, he didn't fall that far. I thought that guy was tough, man. Alright, well now we got rid of the idiots over here.
Never should have come here.
We'll give this guy a little more appropriate competition here. Now, I've been getting mixed results here. Sometimes he takes these guys out pretty quick, sometimes not so much, but we'll see what he does. He can deal a decent amount of damage, but not having armor, they don't tank as well as, well, a melee unit should. Uh-oh, I'm trapped. You got me now. Here, come stand next to him and take shock damage.
Victory for Sovngarde!
Well, you almost had him there. So he's... The whole idea here is to have these guys... They have kind of a range they have to cover from like level 6 up to level 19, 24, somewhere in there. So I figure if they can handle anything up to halfway, which would be like a level 13 or 14. I think this guy's a 13. Maybe he's a 14. Then they're doing pretty good. Next we have our skeletal conjurer here. This guy's been a little bit of a problem here. Actually, the problem was my fault, is he wasn't summoning his helper when he should have been.
That's it? That's your best? I love a challenge!
Good, so he's going after the other skeleton. That's perfect. That keeps the summoner alive. Good job, kids. You're doing very well, man. And everybody knows you're a mage because you got the mage hood on. So let me regale you with the story of me, my dad, and the hacksaw. When I was about 6 years old, I hear some noise out in the garage. Now, I'm kind of a guy's guy, even at 6. And I'm thinking in the garage, cars, dad, power tools. I want to see what's going on, right? So I go out there. He's got some piece of metal in a vise, and he's cutting through it with what I now know is a hacksaw. And I was like, wow, look at that. Look at my dad go. He's cutting through a chunk of steel. Pretty cool, right? I mean, when you're 6 years old, that's pretty cool. So he cuts through that. And my first reaction was, what any kid like that would think, I want to do that, right? So I said, hey, Dad, can I try something? He says, okay, here. Hands me his piece of wood, and he says, why don't you cut this piece of wood? I've already marked it right there for you. And I'm like, all right. Now, you got to follow my 6-year-old logic here. I just saw my dad cut through a piece of metal with this weird-looking saw, and I'm thinking, if it'll do that to metal, it'll cut through this wood like butter. So I reach over, I grab the hacksaw. He says, no, son. Not that one. That's a metal cutting saw. You'll want to use this one. He hands me a wood cutting saw. And of course, my first thought is, I wanted to use the cool saw. So of course, I ask what the difference is, and then he tries to, explain it to me. Most of it goes over my head because I'm only 6. So, okay, well, I go ahead and cut through the wood, and, it's kind of sloppy and uneven, but I cut through it, and Dad's like, good job, son. And he looks at me and he says, remember, son, he says, well, first he says, this saw is for cutting metal, this saw is for cutting wood. And then he says, always use the right tool for the job. And that's stuck with me all these years. And if you ask any carpenter or mechanic worth their salt, they'll tell you the same thing. Always use the right tool for the job. And that's really what this mod is about. And so is the Conjurer's Compendium. And I talked about that in the last episode, where we have different situations that require different actions. And I think I said I just wanted more options. But that's what it is. It's having the right tool for a given job, given situation. So, on that note, you've probably seen the demo with the Hellhound. There's been some changes there as well. We'll get a look at the Hellhound in a minute, but he's been, let's say, promoted to adept level. So we have a new apprentice level melee summons, because we need a melee summons, I mean, at apprentice level, so I got through that whole thing with Varangar going, fuck you, use a flame atronach. We really need a good apprentice level melee summons. So let's take a look and see what we got.
Now ain't this a surprise?
This is the Devil Dog, is what I'm calling him. I think this is a right level opponent for him. I'm not sure.
Best victory or Solomon.
Uh-oh. Maybe I conjured something a little bit too tough for him. So, as you can tell, this is a death hound. Come on, man, get him. There you go. You don't like stairs too much, do you? So this is a death hound. The only difference, only changes I made to this guy, obviously the name is different, but I think the death hound is a level 5, and this guy's, I believe he's a level 8, maybe a 10. So I beefed up his health and stamina a little bit. I may tweak that a little bit more, but this is what I have in mind for an apprentice level summons. But since we have him, wait, let me just wait an hour here. Now, since we have him as the apprentice level, that kind of brings into the question, what about the Shade Warrior? What are we going to do about him? Well, I called him into my office. I said, have a seat. He sits down. Now he knows that we have a new apprentice level summons, melee summons. I called him into my office. He thinks he's being let go. So I said to him, how do you feel about fire? Fire? I guess it's kind of cool. Why? He's a little confused at this point. And I said, you know, I've been debating whether or not to create an apprentice level fire summons. And I've been on kind of on the fence with it, and I think I want to go ahead and do that. And I said I talked to the folks in HR and our hiring people, and we've decided that instead of hiring someone outside, we wanted to see if we could maybe retrain somebody in here, and you were the first person we thought of. So I said, so here's what I'm thinking. We send you up to the College of Winterhold. It's a 4-week course. You work with Feralda every day. She's going to teach you all kinds of stuff about fire magic, and if everything goes well, we'll extend you another week, and maybe you can get some fundamental enchanting training from Sergius. And you come back here and you'll be our apprentice level fire summons. What do you think? He's like, Well, he's kind of excited now. One minute he thought he was going to be out of a job. And so he's like, yeah, I like the sound of that. So I'm happy to be able to say that his training went very well. We did extend him another week, and he's got some basic fire enchanting training. And let's go see what we got here.
Is someone there?
This is Embers. This is that boy. He's been retrained.
That's all you've got?
Pop your flame cloak. There you go. He's got a fire enchantment on his mace. It's not a very strong one, but, it's apprentice level. Now, the cloak he's using, like Vultinator's lightning cloak, it's modified. You got him. Club him once more. Ah, he almost had him. That's alright. He's holding his own pretty well against a level 14 though, so that's pretty good. Yeah, this guy's the same guy. He's just been retrained, and he does a pretty solid job. He's got I think a perk in Armsman. I may have given him Augmented Flames 1. I can't remember now if I did that. But all these guys, the Shade, the Skeleton, the Mistman, I had to bump up their health quite a bit because they're not wearing armor, so they were taking a beating. They can deliver a fair amount of damage, but they were taking a beating. And this really got me to thinking about all the elementals in this mod right now. They're spell swords. And which is a little bit different than what I was doing with the Conjurer's Compendium, because those were just pure mages, humanoids, and they just used magic. So I was kind of on the fence at first as I was developing this mod, whether to go with actual mages for doing elemental damage, casting magic, or something like this. And these guys they use elemental magic, and they do a little bit of melee damage. And I actually kind of like this, because early in the game we're really squishy, especially on the higher difficulties. So having something that can use some elemental damage and do a little tanking, I think might be a really good option for us, So I'm kind of liking that aspect of it. Alright, I talked before about the Hellhound getting promoted to adept level. I've made a couple little changes to him as well. I beefed up his size and his weight, and I think I gave him a little more unarmed damage. I can't really tell if that's being applied. It should be, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, let's see what he looks like now.
Time to end this little game.
You can see he's a little bit bigger now. Gave him a little more weight. You should be able to handle this guy.
That's all you've got? Mercy!
Yeah, run him down, boy. There you go. That's it. So yeah, you can see he's a little bit bigger. What I tried doing originally with this one is recreating this thing using an ice wolf, because ice wolf is bigger than an ordinary wolf. But the flame effects wouldn't apply to that because it's designed to go on a wolf. The odd thing is, though, I can take a wolf, apply the flame effects, and then make the wolf bigger, and it still works, which makes no sense to me, but it has to do with race and skin and other stuff, I guess. So anyway, that's our Hellhound. He's kind of becoming a fan favorite, at least with me.
What was that?
And of course we have Blaze. Now Blaze, I believe I took away the flesh spell and gave her a flame cloak. Come on, you guys. Well, he's just scared shitless, isn't he? I gotta remember not to run through the middle of those flames, because I'll get cooked as well. So I'm pretty sure I gave Blaze here the same unarmed damage. So if she does have to melee, it'll be even more potent. There you go. Nice job. So you may have seen the demo with the Glacial Spectre. And we're going to take a look at her right now. But I've got another summons that I might end up going with. And it reminds me a little bit of the Conjurer's Compendium. You know, I mentioned this before, how things like Skeletons, Shade, Mistmen, they're kind of slow casting spells, and not just because they have only cast with one hand, but overall they're slower than humanoids. This is going to illustrate that in a big way. You'll see. Let's just see what happens.
Huh?
Now I swapped out that frost spell she was using for a standard frost spell, but she doesn't use it. She's just going to use her modified ice spike. So I don't know why she doesn't use the other frost spell. Like, maybe because it's a lot weaker. See, she ends up attacking her own shades sometimes. There's been a couple of occasions where her shades have attacked me, and she kills the shades. So I don't know. Yeah, she timed out. She might be able to take this guy out, but she timed out. Let's just get rid of him. Alright, now, as comparison, wow, I went on my perch. Alright, now, as a comparison,
Huh? Time to end this.
this is Glaciator. He has the exact same spells, Well, these guys always run and hide. But just, if I can get him out in the open, just pay attention to how much magic he's throwing down. Well, they're not doing anything now. They're all hiding from each other.
Just a scratch.
You can see he's throwing down a lot more magic. He'll take this guy out if he doesn't time out.
Think you can take me? Boost!
Ah, he timed out. That's one thing about mages. They do tend to hide a little bit too much, but hopefully that illustrates what I was talking about. So I gave this guy a Ghost Frost ability. Check him out. He's a cultist. But yeah, he's got that frosty ghost appearance. I kind of like this one. But hopefully this illustrates what I was talking about, the difference between a humanoid casting spells. Okay, we won't mind ignore his constipation problem there. But the difference between humanoids casting spells and non-humanoids. This guy is throwing down a lot more magic than the other one. Even though they're equipped with the same spells. Now the spell he was using looks like Icy Spear. It's not. It's just I changed the appearance to look like Icy Spear. It's actually a 40 point. It began as Ice Spike, but it does 40 points of damage, which is the equivalent of most of your adept level spells. And I just changed the appearance to look like Ice Spike. So it's an adept ice spell, custom one. Alright, so I told you a story about me and my dad and the hacksaw. That's not the whole story though. You see, after I cut that piece of wood and my dad said, always use the right tool for the job, he went back in the house for something. So I'm standing there, and I'm looking at that hacksaw. I have to know. I have to know. I have to try. So I grab a piece of wood, I put it in a vise, I grab the hacksaw, and I still think it's going to cut through that piece of wood in one sweep, right? So I reach back and I give it one good sweep with everything I got. Well, I didn't secure that piece of wood in a vise very well, and it moved a lot, and I fell forward. Oh, did I mention that our garage was unfinished at the time? So unfinished meaning that there's no drywall or anything on the inside. So you have your exposed 2x4s, some exposed insulation, and some exposed electrical wiring. So as I fall forward, the saw rakes across some wires. There's arcs, there's sparks, that trips the circuit breaker, lights go out, I'm freaking out. My dad hears this, sees it, he comes rushing in there. And of course, the first thing he does is check on me because he's a good dad, and that's what good dads do. So, seeing that I'm okay, how I didn't shock the shit out of myself, I don't know. But seeing that I'm okay, he says, "What the hell happened?" I couldn't figure out a way to blame that one on the dog. A fart? Yeah, I can blame a fart on the dog, but that one, I was like, man. I had to fess up. Tell him what happened. Needless to say, my dad was less than amused. But it reminds me of dragons in Skyrim. Or should I say dragons in Skyrim remind me of that incident. Because that created a problem. Dragons are a problem. And the solution to both problems is the same.
What was that?
You call an electrician. Meet the electrician. Oh, you guys are just going to hide from each other again? Yes, it's really annoying. I should have been doing this out in the open. He has a very potent custom spark spell. Let's see if I can draw these guys out in the open. You know what I should have done? There you go. I was just talking about dragons. Let's get one. Now this is a low-level dragon, but he'll shut this guy down completely. Screen pick. Yeah, man, that might be a thumbnail right there, buddy. Not bad. That's the electrician. So you probably recognize that that little magic effect there. That's the what is that? Where'd he go? Now who cares? That's a Staff of Magnus visuals. Alright, we have one more adept level summons to look at. Now this guy's, he's kind of confused. You see, he's got this lifelong friend. They grew up together, good buddies. But, you know, he went on to join the Vigilance. He liked the fact that they were, you know, danger hunters and going after vampires and werewolves and stuff. And, but he found out his friend was getting into necromancy. He wasn't quite sure what to think of that because he's fairly certain the Vigilance wouldn't approve of him being friends with somebody who was involved with that. But, you know, he didn't say anything at first, and after a while, he got a little curious, so he started asking his friend some more questions, and more questions led to more curiosity, which led to more questions, and eventually he started to dabble in necromancy himself. Well, of course, the Vigilance found out about it, and they said, "This is no good. You got to go." Now, his defense was, there's no rules that say you can't use necromancy for the Vigilance. The rules are that, you know, you're supposed to kill undead, but there's no rules that say you can't create your own undead. They weren't buying it, though, but, you know, he felt like he found a loophole, but they weren't buying it. Kicked him out. And on his way out, he managed to snag a couple of really nice spells to help deal with the undead. See, he still believes in their philosophy about dealing with the undead. So I don't know. This guy is either confused or he's Skyrim's biggest hypocrite. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's give him a couple of targets here. He is the Rogue Vigilant. You see what he just did? So he's got his sun spells and he reanimates the target. These sun spells don't harm the living either, but he's got that sunbeam and he's got the sunburst. There you go. So, do you see it now? He specializes in killing the undead, but he also reanimates the dead, thus creating more undead. You see the hypocrisy now, right? He's an interesting character. He can't quite decide where his place in life is, but he's pretty effective at dealing with Draugr. And he has a revenant spell, so if there's a dead body around, he's going to raise it. Now he's supposed to be wearing Vigilance attire, and for whatever reason, he won't. That right there is just default stuff. I guess the game If you don't select an outfit for them, it just defaults to that hoodless monk outfit. But I did give him the Vigilant outfit, but some reason he's not wearing it. I don't know why, but I'll keep working on that. But that is the Rogue Vigilant. He's your anti-undead summons, and he will raise the dead to help fight the undead. You're all messed up, man, but you do solid work, so I'm gonna keep you around. He's staying on the payroll, damn it. All right, that is it for this episode. I've got some really interesting ideas for some expert level summonses, and there still may be some modifications to the existing ones, but we'll talk about those in the next episode if there are any. But so far we have, let's see, we have Embers. He is our flame elemental. And our skeletal conjurer, he's the one that does frost. We've got Vultinator, who does shock damage. We have our devil dog, who's a melee unit, and we have our undead marksman, the archer. And of course we have Blaze and Glaciator, the Hellhound, and the electrician, and the rogue Vigilant. He still thinks he's a Vigilant, but he's done gone rogue. But he does good work. So that's going to do it for now. Yeah, there's still a lot more. I think I have 22 conjurables on my list right now. That number may change a little bit, but it's going to be somewhere around there, and we're a little over halfway through them. So got a lot more to do. So I got to get back at it. Anyway, that'll do it for now. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I will see you in episode 3.